Obviously pissed to come out and play like that. That's not who we want to be or what we want to be, but I got to tip my hat to Detroit. I thought they had a tremendous plan. Like I said, they outcoached us, outplayed us, and we got to be better.
You were saying?
No, what were you saying? No, what were you saying last week? What were you saying last week?
I think what I have to say about yesterday's Lions-Cardinals game is better served as a retort. Now I could go if you just prefer me to go. I'm always ready to go, but I think it's better served as a retort. I think the "I told you so" should go first. You good with that?
Sure. The "I told you so." Okay, I'll say it this way. And just to be fair about the Arizona Cardinals, they are a team with a third-year quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Kyler Murray's in his third year, right? So I think the team. I'm going to say this is Kyler Murray's team. So I will hold them. I'm not going to go back. I won't hold them to their history. I'll hold them to Kyler Murray's history. So I don't need to go back all the way to all the failures that the Arizona Cardinals have had. I'm not going to Bengal them. I'm going to Murray them. And what I mean by that is I think they are a reflection of him. So that last year they got off to a great start, and then they just kind of slowed down. And that made sense for a second-year quarterback.
Fell apart.
This year, they're a little bit better than they were last year. But they still are not quite ready to go to that next level. And so they have games like this. They'll have games. So, and this has been coming. That's why I keep saying to you, this has been coming. It's like, they lost to the Packers, and that was strange circumstances. And then they lost last week. Oh, that was a little strange. Now they lose to the Lions. They're not playing good football. They're falling apart again. But the reason we're not talking about it is because they got off to such a great start, and they looked so impressive for so long, we just kind of bought them as NFC contenders. They're contenders, but they're not champions.
Reluctantly. I'm sorry, contenders, but not what? I'm sorry?
Yeah, they're contenders, but they're not champions. They're contenders.
Okay.
And they're a good team, but they're not great yet. They don't know how to pace themselves, finish, whatever it is. They don't have that in them yet. So they're a nice team. They'll make the playoffs, obviously. I don't think we'll be seeing them in Los Angeles either. So I didn't expect them to lose to the Lions. All that being said, it's just so perfect. Because you know what?
It is.
You say I do this. You say I do this. You say I do this. But you do it more. You'll take a position. You'll take a position. And you'll go too far. You'll go too far. No. So you just really just like jumped on. You were like, oh no, the Cardinals. Oh, what? Oh, they barely lost to the Packers. And oh, wait a minute.
No.
You just have this issue. Like, man.
See, I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to swim. I perpetuate that stereotype. But what I understand is like if somebody's trying to save you from drowning and you continue to fight, then you both drown, right? That's how it is with you. When I go too far, I am counterbalancing your take. So it seems like I'm going too far, but I'm doing so in response to you going too far. I'm not going too far. I never said the Cardinals were going to win the NFC. I never said that. I never said the Cardinals had the stuff of champions. I never said that. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a textbook example of confirmation bias. And the reason I interjected and said reluctantly a second ago is because all season, when we talked about who's the best team in the NFC, reluctantly, me and eventually you gave it to the Cardinals. I remember several shows us asking each other.
I never said that. I never said they're the best team in the NFC.
I'm not.
I said the Packers all year.
I'm not going to tell you what you said. I'm not going to do that. I'll say this. If you did give it to them, it was brief. It was like for a week when we had no choice in the matter, okay? When they just kept winning on the road up until yesterday. And I believe even you, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty good at this. Pretty good at remembering what people say. Pretty sure we're like, yo, what is our reluctance? You asked rhetorically, what is our reluctance with respecting the Cardinals? You know what? Because we didn't want to give it to them. Because we didn't want to trust them. Because they don't have credibility after last year. So I understand why you said everything that you said. But what bothers me, I'm not saying you're guilty of this, because, again, you never really want to trust them. But what bothers me is when it's like, oh, forget everything they did all year, and at the first sign of trouble, not you, see, I told you so. Told you the Cardinals couldn't be trusted. And maybe they shouldn't be trusted. And maybe this is another fall apart end of season. Maybe we know how this movie ends. Maybe it's a repeat. Maybe it's the same song, different verse, same shit, different toilet. Maybe that's what we're in for. You might end up being right. All I was saying was I wasn't going to write them off based on how they lost a close game to Green Bay, how they lost a close game to the Rams, who are good, okay? And the other game they lost to the Panthers when Colt McCoy was quarterbacking, okay? And my guy Cam Newton had his one shining moment this year. Which brings me to yesterday.
Okay.
Which brings me to yesterday.
Okay. How do you explain this one? Please explain this one for me.
Easily. I'll explain easily. Same when you explain a team that was coming into the game, what was it, 1-10-1 or 1-11-1? Whatever they were yesterday. Coming into yesterday, the Detroit Lions had 7 one-score games, and they won one of them. Okay? Like, I think if you ask anybody that's watched the Lions this year, they're not good for your health if you're a Lions fan, but the Lions are better than their record. The Lions, if they had managed to win a few more of those games that they lost in heartbreaking fashion, yesterday's loss isn't such a shocker to people. It was a shocker if you just looked at the record. It was historic if you just look at the record. But if you looked at the tape, because you know I watched all 22s, Mike. You know I watched the film.
Yeah.
You know I watched the film, right?
You're all in it. You're all in it.
You know I watched the tape. The eye in the sky don't lie, Michael. So if you looked at the tape, the Lions have been competitive all year. They've never played like they're better than their record. Classic case of being better than their record. They were at home. No, the Cardinals are not playing good football. But that didn't shock me yesterday because the Lions, they were going to get another one. They weren't going to just finish with that one last-second win against Minnesota and that be it. Of course they lost to the Cardinals because all it did was serve this up on a silver platter to people like you who never trusted the Cardinals to begin with. Now, last thing I'll say, for now, they got Indianapolis this week. They're at Dallas next week. And then they finish up with Seattle. If the Cardinals win these next couple of games, just make sure you keep the same energy. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'll say you were right. If they continue to fall apart, I'll say you were right. But just keep this same energy. That's all. If they end up winning these next couple of games against these contenders.
I've been here all year. I've been here all year.
Not quite. You haven't been. You couldn't be. No, you haven't.
Yes,
because you couldn't be. Because at one point, they were the last. Hold on. What did they start the year? Weren't they the last undefeated team? I'm sorry. Maybe if I'm right about that or wrong about that. I think they were the last undefeated team, if I'm not mistaken. Their first loss was Week 8 against Green Bay, and you know how they lost that game. Then they bounced back from that. At a certain point, you were not, or they can't be trusted because you couldn't be credibly. You couldn't say that.
Well, okay. Well, I make up my own.
You said it at the first sign of trouble.
That's what I do. I make up my own credibility rules. Now, when I said about them recently, just a play on Public Enemy's song, I said by the time I get to Arizona, they'll be in LA. Meaning, I'm so reluctant.
Which Public Enemy song was
to
that?
give them together by the time I get to Arizona.
Yeah.
By the time I get to Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
good pull.
Meaning I just wasn't gonna. I just couldn't give them credit. But the fact is, Mike, if Cliff Kingsbury is saying, and I wanted to mention this for a while. One thing you said that I agree with 100%. You said that the Lions are better than their record. They are. And you know why? they don't have more wins? Because now that Urban Meyer is out of the NFL, they have the worst coach in football. And I'm not saying he's destined to be that for the rest of his career. The games that I've watched, I haven't watched all their games because, life's too short. I want to enjoy it. But the games that I've watched, the games that I've watched in the Lions, Dan Campbell and his staff, down goes that cup. Dan Campbell and his staff have coached them out of at least 2 or 3 wins. They should have beaten Chicago on Thanksgiving. Coached them out of that. The game that they won was a poorly coached game. They should have beaten Minnesota in regulation earlier.
And Mike Zimmer bailed them out. Yeah, the defense.
I mean, they have given away. They've given away at least 2 games, and there's more on that because we got another coach in football who thinks, oh, this thing is casual. I can just give away games. But back to Dan Campbell and the Lions. Yes, they're better than their record. Campbell has held them back a little bit. A rookie head coach. A rookie full-time head coach. I know he's done it. I know he's done it in the interim level.
No, I'm just saying, but their roster ain't great. I wouldn't put their record all at the feet of Dan Campbell. And they're still playing hard for him.
They probably should have. They got 2. They should probably have 4. Okay.
Okay.
When Cliff Kingsbury in December says we were out-coached by the Detroit Lions coaching staff, now you done really effed up, Cliff. You really effed up. There's no way you should lose that game. Forget about the any given Sunday cliches. If you want to be a champion, you want to close this thing down, you want to land the plane, anything you want to say, you got to beat the Detroit Lions when you have played poorly in other games. See, it's not like
that feels cliche. That's like the opposite of any given Sunday cliche. The opposite of that is if you want to be a champion, you got to beat it. I think the stat we put on the screen from NFL Research said that the 2004 Patriots, who went on to win the Super Bowl, was the last team to have this.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it. Okay? 2004 Patriots lost 2 games. Lost 2 games. One of them, a Monday Night Football loss to the Miami Dolphins, a team in their division. They lost 2 games. So one of those games, this is a different situation. This is a team outside the
95
division.
Cowboys.
You have played poorly in the games leading up to this, or you haven't taken care of business. This is a game where you get right. What'd you call it? The Jets, a homecoming game? This is your homecoming game.
The Lions ain't been that.
Following up a loss. No, you can't do this. It's context.
Okay.
Yeah, you can lose to a bad team.
In
but
context,
not in this
neither of us was calling the Cardinals a championship team. Neither of us predicted the Cardinals to be in LA. For purposes of clarity here, I'm simply saying, as bad as their record was, you and I are having the same conversation but different conversations. You're out on the Cardinals. That's fine. You can be out on the Cardinals. I don't think nobody would blame you. There is no shame in losing to the Detroit Lions. I don't give a damn what their record is, okay? This is not the first head-scratching loss we've seen this season, okay? This is a wacky season, wackier than usual. And the Lions have been close. I don't care what you say about Dan Campbell. I said it before, I said it again. 7 one-score games, they lost 6 of them this year. So that shouldn't have been as much of a shocker as the record would suggest.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I prefer to look at the bright side. I look at Craig Reynolds. Who the hell is Craig Reynolds? It's a great story. Before we go to break, I do want to ask you this, though. Are you one of these people that think the Lions lost by winning as it relates to draft position?
No. Nope.
Okay, good.
Nope.
Nothing to see here then.
Nope.
Good, right? You play it out. You do it the right way. You try to win every game. You get the pick you're supposed to get. You know, thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll end up where you're supposed to be.
Stop this tanking. I'm gonna play for this guy. Because when's the last time that really? It has worked out a couple times. Though.
Well, but ain't no quarter. Well, if you're talking about a quarterback, I mean, we were having a tanking conversation last year. We thought that Trevor Lawrence was the second coming. I mean, look, if the Jaguars decide to take Kayvon Thibodeau, then hell, maybe you end up with Aiden Hutchinson anyway, or vice versa. Doesn't matter.
Better story, right?
The Lions need a lot of things. The Lions need a lot of things. So I don't know if they're sitting up here targeting one guy in particular. They could use a lot of help at a lot of positions. All right, we'll get to your man, John Harbaugh, next. Yeah.
Like all these other teams, these bad teams in the first round, they got multiple first-round picks too. The Lions.
They do.
So they're well positioned.
They got the Rams.
They got a high one, they're going to have a low one. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.